We just got off a team sales training. Every Friday, we put somebody new in the hot seat, someone that is knocking it out of the park, one of our top producers that's not only putting up good numbers, but also tracking everything so that we can see how much they're spending, how many leads they're getting, what their cost per acquisition is, what their pickup rate is, their pickup to quote rate, their quote rate to sold rate. Like, we've taken a deep dive every week so that agents can not just better understand how to sell something, but how to properly run their business. And today's call was so good that I couldn't gatekeep it. So I hope you enjoy today's Friday hot seat call with one of our newer agents on the team, Mr. Hunter. Enjoy and have a great weekend. For those of you that don't know Hunter, Hunter, go ahead and give everybody a background of your experience in life insurance and how long have you been doing telesales now? And further layer, how long have you been actually calling leads? So one, two, three.
Yeah, so uh, initially here, I've been in the business for a little bit over 4 years, strictly doing final expense. So I've got some, prior experience as far as, selling the product and everything. But um, I used to go door to door, so working on the road, getting about 20 leads a week, traveling, 3 to 5 hours away, staying in Airbnbs and all that fun stuff. And over the past, I think, about 2 months ago, is whenever I made the transition into telesales. I've actually been, like running the leads and working full time for about 3 weeks now. As soon as I started doing telesales, I kind of just relied on my book of business and was basically just like calling for add-ons and stuff like that. At first, I've been, running my Scale My Social campaign for about 3 weeks. So that's whenever, how long I've been doing it.
That's cool. And so even through, the learning phase and all of that stuff that sometimes people struggle with, where I think you're finding good success. So how much what's your weekly ad spend? And has that always stayed the same?
Yeah, so my weekly ad spend right now is about or it's 750. So I'm not spending, any crazy amount or anything like that. Starting out, I kind of wanted to take it slow and kind of get into the swing of things, I guess you could say. Um, so yeah, I'm spending about 750. That's it, and I'm about to start increasing that, as time goes on. So
Awesome. All right, do us a favor, and then we'll get into Q&A because that's why we're here.
mhm.
Just go ahead and share your tracker with everybody.
Okay, let me know if this works.
Okay.
Share my screen.
Oh, that's right. You're doing this on your iPad, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
let's see here. Can y'all see that?
Yeah, we could still see it.
Okay.
Okay, and then and you did not start using the tracker and tracking your data right away, right? We just kind of started tracking it at the beginning of October.
Yeah, pretty much just for this month.
Yeah.
Just for this month, as you can
All
see.
right. So for those that are still not using a tracker, this is also going to be a good overview for you to understand how important a tracker is. Hunter, are you able to move my video down or away from, yeah,
Get out
good.
of here. There
Cool. Yeah, just get rid of me.
we go.
Perfect. All right, so it's kind of small for those of you who can't see it. What I want you to look at, oh wait, no, it's okay. Perfect.
Okay.
I want you to look at the activity first on the dial side, right? Let's look at the activity on the dial side. 200 dials, um, 100 dials, 136, 186. One day he made 28, but look, four quotes. 271. It's interesting too, because on the day that he made 347 dials, he only had one quote. So that makes sense, right? When we have super high dials, we don't have as much people to talk to. But for the most part, pretty good activity. I don't see really a lot of times I'll see trackers that have more consistent under 50 dials than we'd probably like to admit or like to see. But what I love is the pickup to quote percentage. So when you put your pickups there on the left-hand side, it
Hmm.
automatically tallies them on the right-hand side where it says total pickups in the purple. And then it says quotes on the side next to it. So the first thing that we want to talk about with you today, Hunter, after I go through the rest of this, is your pickup to quote percentage is strong. You're at a 50% pickup to quote percentage, which is a huge contributing part of what is making you so successful because the more quotes you can get, obviously, the more sales you can get. And so you've written 13 apps, I mean, 16 apps out of 37 quotes, which is 43% close rate for a submitted annual premium of $20,000. You have spent 2250, which includes this week, which is not yet finished yet. Have you put your policies closed in for this week, or you haven't closed anything this week? But you did, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've
Can
tracked it
you
this
just
week.
put that in there? Because that'll make your cost per acquisition actually less than 187.50 because you already put the ad spend in, but you didn't put your policies closed.
Ah, I see.
So anything from 13 to 17,
4.
there you go. Watch this. 140. $140 cost per acquisition. Um, and how many leads have you gotten so far this week?
This week I have no idea. Is there any way to kind of track
You'll
that?
get the report. Yeah, you'll get the report for them from them this weekend.
Hmm.
So, but let's just pretend it's about 100, right? By
Hmm.
the time the end of Saturday rolls around. So for now, just put, let's see, if you're getting 100 divided by 7 times 4.5, put in like 65 leads right now. There we go. So you're at a total, so at a 6% conversion rate, right? At a 6% conversion rate off of total leads, we have a cost per acquisition of $140. That is incredible, right? So you do not need to have a 10%, 15% close rate when your lead cost is less than $8. So, anybody have any questions about this tracker and what you're looking at right now before I have him stop sharing his screen and we ask some questions? And then, if it's available to you, Hunter, based on how we're on this call, if we could listen to some of your first 30 seconds, and
Hmm.
I could have probably prepared that sooner, but I think that's going to be one of the first things people are going to want to dig into your
Yep.
brain for. Anyone have any questions on this tracker? Okay, go ahead, Hunter. You can stop sharing your screen. Fantastic. Do you have the ability to pull up some of your recordings while you're on Zoom here?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. I've sent some emails to Whitestone with some of my recordings, so bear with me for a second
Oh,
here.
okay, cool. All right, so while Hunter's pulling that up, let's see, I can continue to ask questions, but these Friday meetings, they are really designed to help you guys try to figure out what other agents on the team are doing to find success where you may be falling short. So, Hunter, can we role play real quick?
Yeah,
And I'll
absolutely.
give you like an objection or two, and that way we can kind of do that while you're looking for recordings.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Okay. All right, I got a recording. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
ready.
so let's role play a little bit. All right,
Yeah.
so just call me and I'll answer. So, okay, hello.
Hey, Dana.
Yeah, who's this?
Dana, this is just Hunter. I was giving you a call about the form you submitted on the final expense life insurance programs.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I don't really have time right now. Are you able to call me back another time?
Yeah, no big deal. Do you just have maybe about 60 seconds just to, kind of see if it makes sense for me to even call you back?
Um, I I guess how much does it cost?
Mhm. Yeah, so it's all based on your age and health. But first off, I just wanted to make sure that some of the information that you listed on your form here was correct. I had that you were on 123 Fake Street.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And you're in the state of California, right?
Yes,
Okay. And your email address is Dana Neeson at empowerlifegroup.com.
it is. Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And it looks like here that you were looking into about 10,000 of coverage, and your beneficiary is your son. That's who you're looking to protect. Does all that sound right?
Yeah, but I'm living on a fixed income and I just don't know if I can afford it.
Well, the beautiful thing is here, Miss Dana, I'm actually a licensed broker through the state of California. So I actually specialize in finding coverage for families who are on a fixed income, right? So my whole job is just to make sure that whenever it comes to this sort of thing, we get the correct information. And, I help guide you in the right direction to put, your family in the best spot possible. Um, 90% of the families I work with are, on Social Security or disability. So those are the folks I actually help out the most.
Okay, good. All right, let's pause there. Before you hit play, Hunter, I thought you sounded really good. I think one of the strengths that you have is that you can take control of the call. You answer a question and then immediately ask a question back. Or you don't sit in the answer like how much
Mhm.
does it cost? Well, it's all based on your age and health, but let me verify some information and then you just kind of get me off of that.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
I feel like most of the objections that you get, maybe in the first 30 seconds or a minute, most of the time they're all smokescreen objections, like they're not real. So I feel like, the majority of the time just moving past or just getting, them to stay on the line, a lot of times it just never comes back up, you know.
So yeah, 50% pick up to quote though is really, really high. And so what I imagine is that you're not giving up when people give you an objection. You're just really strong about responding and then not sitting in the objection and kind of moving on to try to keep them
Mhm.
engaged.
Yeah. I
Um,
try to anyways.
yeah. Okay. So with the call that you have right now, I just want to hear the intro.
Okay. Let me know if you can hear this.
Okay. Let me know when you hit play so I can tell you if I can hear it.
Oh, it's been playing. You can't hear
Oh,
it.
yeah, I know.
Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it up on my phone and
You can
play it on
just email it to me and I can play it.
even better. Hold
And
on.
then Tori has a question in the meantime. So just email that over to me. And
Okay.
I was just throwing in the chat that I love that Hunter doesn't sit and make more of the objection than it is. He just addressed it and then moved past it and continued to move the needle. That's how we hold control of the calls. I thought that was great.
yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me know if you got that, Dana.
Okay.
I think I just resent it to my whole team, so
I got it.
they got it again. Okay.
All right. Let me know, you guys, if you can hear it. I'm hitting play.
Hello.
Can you hear that?
Hello. Hi, Miss Vicky.
Yes,
Hey, Miss Vicky, it's just Hunter. I was giving you a call about the form you submitted on the final expense life insurance programs.
yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that some of the information that you listed down here, Miss Vicky, was correct. I had your email is
yes,
okay, and you're in the state of Arkansas, correct?
yes,
Awesome. And it says here that you were looking into 10,000 of coverage, and your son would be the beneficiary. That's who you were looking to protect.
yes,
Okay, all right. Just making sure all that was correct there. And were you just looking for coverage for yourself, Miss Vicky, or were you looking for
yes.
anything else?
This
Just for
one.
you?
Okay, cool. So that intro was pretty much exactly what you said to me when we were doing the role plays. You didn't get any objections. Out of 10 calls that get pickups, how many of those do you get front end objections?
Out of 10, I'd say, probably about half, to be quite honest, about four or five, I'd say. It's
Nice.
more like I don't have time or, not right now or I'm not interested, Um, I
What do
mean,
you
those,
say if they say they're not interested?
a lot of times I'll just ask them straight up, what's changed, between the time that you submitted this form, 24 hours ago till now. And that's just a question a lot of times I'll answer just to keep them talking a lot of the times because the main thing I think about whenever it's like I'm not interested, they're just gonna, hang up or try to get you off the phone. But if you kind of bait them into answering a question, you can have something to build off of, you know. That's kind of, what I think about it. So if you can just kind of like just keep them on the phone,
Yeah.
a lot of times everything just kind of unravels, you know.
All right, questions from the team. What questions do you have? What do you want to know? Let me see what's in the chat. Nothing yet. You guys have any questions for Hunter? I can keep asking my own questions, but this is for you.
I have a question. So, Hunter, one thing that I am trying to figure out is the people that have this expectation right off the bat of like, I need 30,000 or whatever, and you know that you're gonna have to talk them down or like set their expectations. Like, what is your approach usually like? Like, when do you kind of like sprinkle that in, or like, how do you bring it up that we probably need to look at less coverage? Like, what is your mindset on that, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of times, to be honest, like for some reason, whenever they fill out one of the, leads and they have like 30,000 or 40,000 plus, a lot of times I automatically in my head am like, oh my gosh, let's get real, or this person, doesn't kind of understand what type of coverage it is. But a lot of the times after you go through your pitch, after education and kind of letting them know, how much, funeral costs are and kind of gauge what their needs are, a lot of times, I don't even address like the coverage amount, if that makes sense, because, what you're doing is explaining, what their needs are and finding them a coverage plan that's going to, cover their needs. Right. So it's like, hey, if a lot of times I'll be like, hey, we want to make sure that this coverage does two things, right? It takes care of, what our needs are, and number two, making sure that it's comfortable for us, right? And so at the end of the day, if we were able to find some coverage that takes care of that burial in full and fits comfortably within the budget, what would that kind of look like, or how would that make you feel? So kind of just gauging what their needs are and being a guided buyer rather than like listening to their need or what they want, because after you get done explaining like the different types of coverage, a lot of times they start to realize like I don't need 40,000 or I don't need 30,000, so I just wouldn't even get caught up in the coverage amount, to be honest. Just kind of be informative to them and give them the realization of what things cost, and you're going to find a coverage plan to accomplish their needs, right? So that's what I would kind of say there. I wouldn't get caught up in the coverage, or how much they want, right? If that makes sense.
That's so good. The most important thing that you just did right there from a sales skill perspective that I want to point out is you asked a question: if we could cover the full burial expenses and still keep it in a comfortable budget, followed by an open-ended question that is very thought-provoking, right? How would that make you feel? Or what was the other thing you said? What would that do for
What
you?
would that do for you?
What would
Yeah.
that do for you? How would that make you feel? Not as opposed to if we could cover the burial expenses and take care of the budget, keep it within a monthly budget, would that work? right? Or like ending it with a yes or no question. That is a much weaker approach to just get someone to take the easy way out and say yes, rather than what Hunter's doing, which is actually challenging them to participate in the conversation with a full sentence, right? So that is actually super important because they're buying into what Hunter is recommending
Hmm.
without just saying yes, because then it doesn't give them a chance to think about it out loud, right? When you ask open-ended questions that gets them to respond in sentences, not yes or no, what they're doing is thinking about it out loud with you, the expert, who is then helping to guide them towards what makes the most sense. How do you typically quote? Like, how do you recommend options for people at the end? What does that look like for
Well,
you?
well, as far as quoting goes, I only have two carriers. Okay, so it's not like a
Okay,
big,
wait, by the way, can you just
yeah,
say that one more time for the
yeah,
27 people on the call who
yeah.
think they can't sell anything unless they have 10 carriers?
Right. Yeah, so I only have two carriers right now. My contracts are being held by my previous IMO, unfortunately. So I've got Combined and I've got Aflac, but whenever I first started in Final Expense, I only had one carrier anyways. So when I first started, I had American Memorial, now True Stage, but we used to, just a quick sidebar. So we actually obviously used to do everything in person. There wasn't any e-apps whenever I first started, so we used to have to do like paper apps, have to call the company, do a phone interview, go through the medications if you've ever done one, with like Trinity Life or something like that. So we had to do that, every single time just to make a sale. So after, having e-apps come out and everything, just making it convenient. um, I don't know where I was going with that, sorry, but either way, I only
We were
had.
talking about how you only have two
Yeah,
carriers and that
yeah,
you have what your
so
past experiences
yeah,
taught you.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I think the main thing is like solving their problem, or, figuring out what their needs are, and fixing it, or providing them the best option that you possibly can. Because at the end of the day, uh, you know, a family having coverage, regardless of what it is going to be, a huge help rather than doing nothing, right? And so you don't have to get caught up in like, oh, I can save you 2 cents, or I can save you, a couple dollars, right? The real value is you. You got to sell yourself, and like the services you provide as an agent is worth like, a couple of dollars that they could save somewhere else, right? Because you always have, the ability to help the clients out, make any changes, answer any questions 24/7, right? So you got to kind of like, hold on, I'm getting a call.
Okay.
Sorry, that was weird.
That's okay. While you're doing that, I want to verbalize out loud what I just said in the chat, which is a theme that I've noticed is that agents that come from a single carrier or a single product with just one or two options, they're forced to be very strong sales people because they have to be,
Mhm.
right? They're not, I say we, I came from a single, captive carrier. And we don't have an arsenal to be able to sell on best price, right? That's not how our brains work. Our brains work on providing such great value and really digging deep into the emotional need of the client that it doesn't matter, right? What the price is at the end or what the carrier is at the end or if it's level or modified. It's that they feel comfortable and safe working with you and that you are making them feel like, okay, yes, I can finally feel good about changing my situation and putting coverage in place. And I've said this so many times on training calls that we get so wrapped up in saying, well, I can't help this person because I couldn't find them level coverage. Like that is the craziest mindset game that you are playing with yourself that will prevent you from helping more people and prevent you from getting the numbers that you've seen on Hunter's Tracker. Well, I couldn't get them level. I don't have that carrier. I only had graded or I only had ROP or and like that's an excuse, right?
Mhm.
That is an excuse that you're telling yourself that do they have something now? No. So by you failing to put something in place for them, even if it's graded or ROP, they still have nothing. So you still did not do them any favors. I could go on and on and on about that, but I think that's probably another reason why your conversion rate is probably so high, because you're not getting wrapped up in the fact that, oh, I don't have any options for them, right? You only got two.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
and I think a big thing is that, I mean, the majority of our clients, they're professional procrastinators. That's what we always call them. So they always put things off until, somebody comes along and, helps them make a decision, I guess you could say. So, you got to think about it as like, hey, if I'm not the person that's going to help this person out, they might, live their whole life and pass away without any kind of coverage. So.
Yeah, because even on a 2-year waiting period, even if you don't add any accidental coverage on somebody's plan for $5 or whatever, if they pass away from an accident, the full death benefit is paid out,
Mhm.
right? It's just not double indemnity. So they do, in fact, have some sort of coverage, immediate coverage from day one if they pass away from an accident. And so anything is going to be better than nothing at all for most of these families. All right, other questions. Chris asked, what do you count as a pickup?
I would say uh probably making it like a minute into the call, just basically getting through my intro. After I get through my intro, I consider that a pickup. If somebody just calls and says like, I'm not interested and hangs up, I don't count that as a pickup. Basically
Wait,
as
hold on. What? Say that again. If someone what?
somebody picks up the phone and says I'm not interested or just hangs up immediately, I don't count that as a pickup.
Why not?
I don't know. I'm new to all this, so in my mind, I'm like, hey, I didn't even have an opportunity there, so I'm not going to count that as an opportunity, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
interesting. So you should actually count that on your tracker as a pickup, because that
Okay.
will give us a bigger window into your actual pickup rate. So your pickup rate is actually better than what your tracker says.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, like I said, I only count it as a pickup if I make it past my intro. So
So yeah, so that means your answer rate is even higher, right?
yeah,
Connection rate
yeah.
is even
So
higher than what you're tracking.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, over the past couple weeks or so, um, being able to well, the pickup rate has been extremely better than the first week I had. So
Okay, and then just to confirm, you're using Link Plus with the Wave Dialer,
yes,
and
yeah.
you have your phone number spam protected. How many states are you in?
I think I'm in 16.
And do you have one phone number for every state you're in? Or have
Yeah,
you
I think I have 10 phone numbers.
10 phone numbers?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And let's see. I think that's what I was going to ask. So moving forward on your tracker, put the pickups even if you don't last a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
I guess that's a good way to count like connection rate.
yeah, connection rate. Yeah, because we want to know, like, when we're looking at the health of your phone numbers,
Hmm.
right? We want to know like how many people are actually picking up the phone.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, so wait, Grant asked accidental on top of graded. Um,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So if you do an ROP policy, right, and the client passes away on accident, first 2 years, the full benefit pays out.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't depend on the carrier. It's it's just how life insurance works. No matter
So
what.
all if we're writing a graded or ROP policy, always add on accidental.
No, no, what I'm saying is you don't have to add on accidental. What adding on accidental does is just double the face value of the policy. If you don't do anything with accidental and they pass away from an accident, the face value pays out.
Okay.
Yeah. And you don't have to add anything to that. Um, okay. Other questions? Oh, I see hand. I see two participants' hand raised. Who's raising their hand? Danielle, go ahead.
Hunter, you had said that when someone picks up and they hang up, that you don't, or like when they pick up the phone, you don't consider it a an actual pickup. But I guess my question is, if you call and they hang up on you, will you call back right away, or do you just kind of put it in for next time?
I do. I mean, yes. So yeah, as soon as they like, if we get disconnected immediately, if they say I'm not interested or whatever, I'll just dial them again. You know, they're already at the phone, and it doesn't hurt. You know,
Right.
so you're not
If
gonna
they
lose
don't,
anything.
if they don't answer, will you just eventually call them back like next week or something? Like you just put it in your pile?
Yeah, yeah. I'll just keep it. If they, well, it depends really. I mean, if they're like, I'm not interested, or take me off your list or whatever, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just count it as lost or whatever in the CRM. But yeah, I'll definitely if it's something that they just like hang up immediately, I don't get to talk to them. I'll definitely just keep it in, my opportunity stack, because if you call them on another day, you might catch them, in a better mood, or
Right.
they might not even, realize they talked to you before. So I mean, I wouldn't. It never hurts, especially right now because I'm only getting like 100 leads a week. So you got to really just squeeze everything you can out of those leads. So it never hurts. You can call them from a different phone number, or, just however you got to do it to, just have a conversation with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
By the way, what was my favorite thing there? Can anybody guess what was my favorite thing that Hunter just said in that
I'm
moment?
only getting 100 leads a week.
Yeah.
I'm only getting 100 leads a week, which that is the mentality that you have to have, right? When I talk to agents all the time, I typically say bare minimum for telesales success is 50 to 100 leads per week, bare minimum, right? And that that feeling of living in lead abundance, that's just going to provide you even more opportunity, and it's going to even further reduce your cost per acquisition, because the law of large numbers. So that's so funny that you just said that. Okay, Leanne, you have a question.
Yes. So, Hunter, when you talk to the people that are like, I maybe they're like 80, they're old, a little bit older, they have some coverage, they just kind of want more if it makes sense. We know, like those kind of people where you're like, is there really a true need? Like how, um, I guess how do you approach that where I guess the idea is like finding out like what this would mean to them. Like, why do they really want extra? Or are they like, because at
Well,
the end of the day, I find that so many of those people are like, they find out how much it would be even just for like 5,000. They're like, oh, never mind. Like, I guess, what are your thoughts on those types of?
initially there, I mean, the first thing you said was like, you're not even sure if there's a need. There's always a need. If they fill out something wanting life insurance, there's a reason, and you got to figure out that reason. But if somebody's like 80 in that example, you really got to pitch urgency. This might be your last time, you know, to get any coverage in place, right? You got to kind of take that angle of like urgency and scarcity. Hey, it's like I can only help folks out until they're 85, right? This is their last chance to get coverage in place. Obviously, everybody wants to leave behind as much as comfortably possible to the family, right? And so they want to make sure that they have enough coverage. It's just about finding the need, asking the questions to unravel why they filled out that form, or why they're looking into it in the first place. There's always a need there if they reach out about life insurance. But really, as far as like the older age bracket, you always got to just like rely on pitching urgency, if that makes sense, because they don't have time to wait. I'll tell people that it's like, hey, I want to think about it. It's like, okay, you know, you've waited 80 years, to get this taken care of. We don't need to think about this anymore, right? I mean, you're not gonna. You're fortunate I can get you immediate coverage at the age of 80, right? So it's like we need to do something about this because you're 80. It's that simple.
Do you
Um,
say it exactly like that? Like, you
yeah,
waited
I
80
mean,
years?
yeah, it's like, hey, like we don't have time to wait about this. It's like you've been thinking about this for 50 years now, right? Let's make a good decision today and get this taken care of. A lot of times you got to be like direct and straightforward, in my opinion, with a lot of these folks because they like to be told what to do, not make their decisions freely. Obviously, you got to do it in a good way, coming from a good position. You don't want to put somebody in a bad financial situation. But yeah, I mean, straight up, just we don't have time to wait, if you're 80.
I hope you enjoyed that training call. We have about 15, 20 more minutes of Q&A from the team. But listen, if you enjoyed this, if you want to be part of conversations like this, if you want to understand how to take your sales conversations to the next level, how to track your business, how to understand how to build something with a strong foundation, we're growing and we want to teach and reach you. If you're looking for a team to join, if you feel like maybe you're in the wrong team, please reach out to me. I do group opportunity calls every Tuesday and Thursday. All of my contact information is in the description below in this video, and I look forward to connecting with you to help you take your business to the next level.